welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for supplies that will help you be a better artist, whether that is with production or just the sheer enjoyment of being an artist. Today we are continuing on our Inktober quest with inking utensils. We're going to do this one and one more to top off the month. And today we are actually going to go to COPIC's multi-liners. So I have indeed heard a lot about COPIC. A lot of my fellow artists are using COPICs. And so we are going to try out their fine liners to see if it holds up to all the hype. And I'm pretty excited about using these because they have a lot of variation. So I'm interested to see how that is going to work. So come on, let's go find out. All right, so as we look at the containing vessel for the COPIC multi-liners, it says that it's set B2, so I'm assuming that they have other sets. The actual thing, the container is very flimsy. It's just a plastic bag, and it's very loose. Like I don't really like that at all because it just seems cheap. It's got it's a nice snap to it, so that's cool. But all in all, it doesn't tell us much about it. And yeah, it's just here are my liners. So let's see what they're like though. All right, let's see. What do we have? We have 0.03, 0.05, a 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.8, a 1, a BM, and a BS. Okay, so I'm assuming one is brush, and we'll figure out what the other one is. As far as the the pen goes, like the pen itself is actually pretty sturdy. It's quite nice, doesn't feel cheap, so that's good. But it has like this plastic thing here. It feels pretty flimsy, so I can see these snapping off really fast. I prefer the metal ones because at least those are they're more sturdy, but these plastic ones, right, it just doesn't seem like that would be such a good idea, because I know for a fact I would snap those off. It's got a nice snap. Listen to that, right? You can even see, look at how much resistance it gives, right? So you know that bad boy is closed, so that's cool. Let's see if it works with another one too. Yep, it's got like a nice suction to it, so you know when these are closed. So that's nice. It's a very nice clicking mechanism to make sure that it doesn't actually fall apart, or dry out, I mean. So these are the 0.03. That is a tiny nib. I don't even know if you guys can see that, but that is a tiny nib. And from my previous posts, these tiny nibs, they always frighten me because I'm worried about snapping them or splitting them in half. In my past experiences, I'd be drawing and then the actual tip would fray, so it would split in half, and then I'd be making two lines. So that was always interesting. But the nibs themselves, they look fairly sturdy. So that's nice. I mean, it seems like a regular, as far as the nibs goes, nothing too fanciful. Although in this set, they definitely go up in size a lot. So I mean, look at that. That's a 0.1. So that's a pretty thick nib. And this is the BM. So this is a brush BM, brush medium, I guess. And then this is a brush small. So it is kind of nice that in this particular set, it has the brush, and it's got two different size brushes. Normally it you know, you get a pack, it doesn't matter if they do throw the brush in there, it's only got one. So having two in there is actually quite nice. So this is a fairly nice set. I mean, I'm pretty sure that most other companies have that too, but I think the double brush is what normally gets me, and it's the 01 as well, because normally when you find brushes, you know, you'll get or when you get sets, it's 05, 01, or 0.01, 0.3, you know, so, and it goes up to 0.8. This one gives you a 0.03 and a 1 and a brush and a small brush. So that's a nice set. That's just a nice set for inking. Okay, so let's jump in here and do some inking. All right, so we're gonna try this 001 first. Not necessarily one of my favorite ideas with the little itty bitty nibs, but and the back. Okay, so you know how we've been on that venture of caps, right? So if it can't stick on the cap, it's not gonna work. But at least with this one, I mean, it's a very tight fit. But what I've noticed is that it seems like it has an extra locking mechanism. So you guys see that? So it like stops it right there beforehand. So that cap's not coming off unless you pull it off. So let's try a different one. Look at that. Oh. Okay, this one doesn't have that extra. Oh, see, extra plastic parts. They just come right off. It's not on there, but then doesn't have that extra snap as the 0.03 does, but that that cap, when you put it on there, it's gonna stay on there. So that's pretty cool. All right. So this is the 0.03. Now, I mean, this one's not working at all. Now, as we've mentioned in some other videos, you know, it could be the fact that one of these was old, or there was some type of manufacturing issue, right? But as far as anything coming out of this pen, the answer is no. There's like nothing. And I've already moved the nib, like when I looked at it. So it's pretty, yeah, I don't even know if you guys can see that, but it's actually, so this nib is so thin that any type of pressure to move it actually is moving the nib. So right now it's kind of facing inward. So that's a no-go for me, because all that means is that it's gonna break, or it is already broken. So 0.003, nope. All right, moving on to 0.05. Okay, see point, there we go. It seems as though the smaller they get, the harder it is to get them to work. But this 0.05 seems to be, you know, it's giving me a lot thicker line than I would have anticipated. So that's something, right? But the ink is flowing pretty nicely out of here. I don't necessarily like how it pools, right? It's a lot darker up on the top at the very beginning of the line. So that's something that you always gotta be concerned with. But with that said, you know, the line itself is, it allows you to go very, very fast. So there's that. I mean, the ink is coming out really nice. Like I said, I don't like how the little one is actually pooling, right? So as you push down, that front tip is just that much darker than the rest of it. So All right, so we're moving on to the point 1. I mean, the pen itself does feel really nice in your hand, but look at that. See? Oh, see? Some places the ink's not following through, right? And it breaks out and it's breaking up. Oh, look at that. See? Now, as I mentioned, oh, nope. I was going to say, well, when I turned it one way, nope. So wherever, so whichever way I turn it, it's still losing ink from one side to the other. Now, if you do it really slow, all right, this 0.01 does allow some ink, but it's still even dying there. So this pen might also be a manufacturing issue. I don't know, but it might also just be old. But you can tell that it starts, right? It's starting to come apart there, and that's not something you'd want. So 0.3. Okay, so as they get bigger, the pooling's not really there. This 0.03 is pretty nice, although it too is also losing some of its pigmentation, right? As it goes through, and it's not opaque black, right? The blacks, I mean, when they come out, they seem fine, and then it kind of dries, and once it dries, it doesn't dry to like black, and I don't care for that at all. Right? I'm definitely a big proponent. If I have to ink, I want to make sure that my ink stays black, right? So if I can get it as black as possible the first time, then I don't have to go over it again. It's a 0.3. All right, so this is the 0.5. All right, the 0.5 seems to be doing really nice. It seems as though once it's given enough surface area, i.e. the nib, to work, it actually works just fine, right? You can do the speed, so you can get some nice lines, some quick hatch marks in there, right? So that seems to be doing well. Although the ink, once again, so the ink, when it comes out first, it's nice and dark, right? Really, really dark. And then once it dries, it doesn't dry as dark. As you see in comparison with the Shinhan, like this has been a week, and these are still dark, right? Nice and dark and black. So these are, once again, it could be an array of things, as far as if the pack could have been sitting in the store too long, or I don't know, maybe it's a manufacturing issue, I don't know, but it seems to be pretty consistent that when the ink comes out, it comes out nice and dark, and then once it dries, it's not that dark. This is the 0.8, but one of the things that I can definitely say is that as the nib gets larger, the ink flows so much better. And it does just whoosh. So I will definitely give the Copic fine liners that, like, as they get bigger, the ink flows so much nicer, and so that's good. And it seems as though the ink stays darker, right? It stays more opaque. So we're gonna leave that one there and see what happens. And this is the one, so this is the thickest one they have, right? It's pretty big as far as the nib goes. And the one thing that I do like about the larger Copic multi-liners is the fact that as it got bigger, it's not some weird like felt brush, right? Like, or a felt nib where it's got this tip and then it can get all flimsy and stuff. It's actually the same type of nib as all the rest of them. It's this nice, thick, roundish nib. And so you don't really have to worry, at least with these, you don't have to worry about them warping or getting destroyed. And so that is a big plus for me. Like, I am definitely enjoying the 0.08 or no, the 0.8 and the 1. These two seem to be the best out of this pack, and they also seem to stay a lot darker than the rest. So that's something to be noted. And then we're gonna go to the brush small. So their brushes, that brush small is pretty nice. I can definitely, yeah. It's a soft brush, right? It's an actual soft brush, but it seems to be holding its, its shape really nicely. And depending on how light of a touch you can get, right, you can do some really thin lines. So definitely kudos to the brush in this. The brush seems fantastic. And as you guys all know, not a brush guy. And so if you can get me to go, you know what, that's actually not bad, is a big deal, because I do not care for brushes. But this brush pen gives you a lot of control. I mean, a lot. So can't even fault their brushes. Their brushes seem really nice. These brush pens, they're nice. Okay, so we're gonna quickly do an eraser test as a last little bit here, and we're gonna, should we even start with a 0.5? All right, we'll do a 0.5. And we skipped the 0.3 because it didn't work in the first place. And a 1. Oh, I guess I should have skipped the 1 too, because that one didn't work either. 3. 5. Let's brush. 0.8. 1. Wow, look at how thick and dark that one is. The 1 is really cool. And then we'll go brush medium, just kind of brush that way. There we go. All right, and then I'm just gonna take a regular schmegular white eraser, right? Nothing fancy to these, no grit, no nothing, just the typical white eraser, right? And we're just gonna go over this a couple times, and we're gonna see just how much it erases off of this. All right. So I don't know if you guys can actually see that, but the ink on this actually holds up pretty well. The problem that I'm seeing with it, so like I covered, right in the middle, and so what you start seeing is that it does pick it up, right? Whereas, okay, so where other brushes and where other things fade, right? This one's actually pulling up little dots. So like the ink is just being pulled up in certain areas, which is interesting because it's not necessarily fading. It's pulling up these white dots when you erase over it. So that's kind of interesting. I don't exactly know why it would be doing that, but you erase over it a couple times, but the ink itself is actually pretty sturdy. Like, it doesn't fade. Like, I erased over here, right? And it doesn't fade. Just in certain little spots, there are like little white dots that are popping up, and it seems pretty consistent. So yeah, there you go. There's your eraser test. All right, so we just got done reviewing the COPIC multi-liners, and I have to say, as a whole, not that impressed. I mean, maybe it's because there was a lot of hype behind it, you know, COPIC, 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 but to be honest, not that impressed. Packaging was just kind of, you know, a plastic bag, like, and there's no real information on it. Like, I've gotten other packages that tells you a little bit about it in the back, you know, so that's really cool, but this, you know, this is just a bag. And pretty much until I got up to 0.8, it wasn't great, right? It didn't flow really nice. Mostly didn't flow really nice, but and the little ones, the nib just bent and didn't work, and so that was kind of not what I was expecting, right? I was hoping for something nice opaque ink, a nice ink flow, felt really well. There were some positive parts to this, you know, the actual snapping of the caps was really great on both ends, so when you're using it, that cap was not coming off, and then when you were ready to store it, the cap was not actually going to come off either. The 0.8 and 1, to be honest, the one is actually super fantastic. Like, I really do enjoy that. The nib was great. It was nice and thick. Ink flowed out. It was opaque. It was great, right? The 0.8, I probably could pick that up too, but if I was going to pick up any of these, it would be the 1. Or surprisingly, the brushes. So those two brush pens were actually fantastic. Nice flow. The brush kept its size and shape. It gave you a lot of control. It was great. Like those. So if I was to recommend any of these Copic liners, it would be to get a 1 and the brush medium and the brush small. Those 3 pens were fantastic. Like, I would definitely go off and get those. Those were great. But as far as the pack goes, no. Most of these pens are they're just not, they're not worth it, right? As far as this pack goes. But that the 1 and the brush pens were absolutely fantastic. Those I would definitely recommend because they held up, the ink was great, the flow was fine, and you know, with the cap situation on these, those would be something that I could see lasting for a very long time. So if you're looking to get some Copic fine liners, I would recommend getting the 1, possibly the 0.8. If you need something finer, go get a different multi-liner, or pick up the brush pens from Copic. Those were great. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you were able to get some type of information from it. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know exactly when I post new content. These Is It Worth It's come out once a week, and if you have any type of suggestions that you would like me to try out, please let me know in the comments below, because I do take them and I add them to my roster of materials to check out. So please do put a comment in the comments so that I can continuously, hopefully, give you guys something that you're interested in. Also, if you did like this, please like and share it with some people. I would love for this series to grow so that it can be helpful to all artists in whatever walk of life you are in, whether it's hobbyist, student, semi-pro, pro, retiree, whatever it is. But I would like more and more people to get this so that we can make this something that would be fantastic. Thank you guys so very much for watching and your support, and I will see you at the next video. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to check out some of my other videos, click on the link on your right. Or, if you're interested in a more behind-the-scenes and personal look at what I do on a day-to-day basis, please click on the link that leads you to the vlog. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next video.